job of describing the bill. I don't know if it would apply to this particular project, and it was not introduced because of this project. It was introduced because of the concern about clear cutting the forest leading these solar projects. And I would say this, the bill, as I understand it, originated because various groups in the state that are trying to address this forestation issue getting frustrated with OER, the Office of Energy Regulatory Policy in the state. And the speaker himself actually proposed this legislation. He's not the lead sponsor, but his name's on it. And that typically, if the speaker puts a bill forward, there's a good chance it's going to pass. I don't know. We'll find out by the end of June at the latest. I don't know which chances are on the Senate. I don't know if the governor vetoed it. But it may well impact this project, and I think everyone here should be aware of that, and to the extent that it factors in your decision making. So, if you have any other questions,
Any questions? Thank you.
thanks.
Mr. Newberry, so just to be clear, I haven't read the bill, but it's for sites 250 acres, correct?
It's for sites of 250 acres, but that could easily change, because typically bills get introduced, they often get adjusted. That's why I mentioned it. I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday, but that number could go up, it could go down.
Wasn't that bill already adjusted, that you started 200?
I,
Wasn't the number adjusted?
Well, it's funny you said that, because my understanding was, when it was introduced, when I was first told about it, I was told 200, and I actually read the bill tonight, and it said 250.
So it was adjusted?
It was adjusted,
200.
but again, things move in mysterious ways out there. So, just want to let you know, I'm not taking a position on it, I'm just letting you know. And again, if anyone wants input on it, Thursday's the time to do it.
May I ask a clarifying question? Please forgive my naivety on this one. Is it state forested land owned by the state or forested land within the state?
No, what it does is it says that there will be no credits, no state credits for solar on property. And so the issue really is, of course, without the state credits, it's not productive typically to build these facilities. So it would apply to land in general. My understanding, it stems out of projects in South County that I think are even bigger than this one.
So it's going to apply to privately owned
Yes.
properties as well? Because state forested land, to me, makes me think that the state owns the land.
No, it's going to apply to private.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Connie Hurd?
I've got my water with me this time. Cornelia Hurd, 247 Greenville Road, and I thank you for allowing me to speak again. I did speak on April 23rd, but I have some other issues that I would like to bring up as well. First of all, I want to let you know that I did participate in the town survey, and one of the questions was rating the importance of solar energy, how you felt about it. Oh, I approve of solar energy. It's supposed to be environmentally sound. We're not burning fossil fuels. And of course, I could check off, yes, that I approved solar energy. However, I did not see a question asking if you approved cutting 200 acres of trees in order to provide solar energy. That casts an entirely different light on the topic. And I would not want to see the town survey used and quoted saying, oh, the town overwhelmingly approves of solar energy. As I said last time, we have to consider the scope and the location of this enterprise. I have spoken about Waterbury Hill being a watershed. And we all know that this side of the watershed flows to the reservoir, and everyone is concerned about the quality of the land that provides the water going into the reservoir. With a watershed, you have another side of the hill. And this hill, as we know, flows down, providing the water for all of us that have wells in the Primrose area, Greenville Road, Fowler Street, Jefferson, that whole Primrose area, from 146 over to, I would say to the high school even. We've discussed the importance of trees. I asked the last time how the land would be maintained under these solar panels. And there was a woman representative, because I had asked, will there be chemicals applied? And she said, oh, we're going to plant wildflowers. Well, I don't think the roots of wildflowers control soil erosion the way tree roots do. We know the importance of trees. In a watershed, the trees allow the rain to come slowly, gently into the soil, instead of rushing down. The roots of the trees hold the soil in place. We know that Waterbury Hill is a very steep grade, and there is a concern about soil erosion as well as sand and silt getting into the wells. You've all heard about the situation in California, in Santa Barbara. I know somebody personally whose brother died in the mudslide in Santa Barbara. Their house was washed away, he died, his wife was rescued in intensive care for a number of weeks after being dug out of the mud. We know the grade of Waterbury Hill. If you don't have 200 acres of trees holding the soil in place, what kind of mudslide are we going to have coming down Greenville Road? You know, you hear these things on TV and you think, well, that's too bad. We're sorry for those people in California. But we have a possible situation that could occur right here in North Smithfield at the base of Waterbury Hill. I heard several people mention that a property owner should have the right to do what they want on their property. Well, just as we have free speech, you are still not allowed to falsely yell fire in a theater. Well, you own your property, you cannot do what you want on your property if it's going to harm other properties. We have rights too. I had to spend money on a well when we first built our house 54 years ago. Before my husband passed away, he made sure that we dug another deeper well because he wanted to be sure that I would be well supplied with water. We've had a lot more housing developments go in, and this could be affecting the water table. We spent money again on a well. Am I going to have this well filled with sand or silt because 200 acres are being cleared off of Waterbury Hill? Those are my concerns. I spoke before, I'm not going to raise other issues, but the watershed has to be addressed. I'm afraid that people don't always understand what a watershed is and the importance to it. And I have always said, oh, the watershed, Waterbury Hill, with the steep grade and the benefit that the watershed provides, shouldn't even be developed for anything. But, you know, if people have invested, they bought land, they want to see a profit, I think we have to weigh the concerns of the quality of life of people with this project also. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I get the name wrong. Mike Kalo? Kalo.
Mike Cable, 39 Week Street. I'm also the Vice Chair of the North Smithfield Conservation Commission. And representing the commission in the absence of the chair. I have 3 topics I would like to briefly discuss. The first is our mission statement, the Conservation Commission's mission statement. The commission aims to be a vital asset to the town and its citizenry by advocating for sound environmental and conservation issues that impact the town and its future. By conducting research and study of environmental impacts to natural resources such as wetlands, woodlands, open areas, and streams, the commission seeks to be an active agent in the municipal planning process as it relates to the town's growth, as embodied in its comprehensive plan. The commission may suggest a program for the protection and preservation of the town's natural, historic, aesthetic, and cultural treasures that affect the town and its future and well-being. So that's our mission statement. So you can imagine my and the rest of the town-appointed commission surprise when we learned of the proposed massive commercial solar development by reading about it in the Valley Breeze, along with the map. I have trouble calling it a map, but I finished my sentence, sorry. So along with the map, for lack of a better word, that was posted with it prior to the April 23rd town council meeting. So I think we had found out about 2 weeks ahead of that meeting from the posting of the Valley Breeze. And with that, I would like to respectfully remind the town council that the Conservation Commission is an advisory board to the town council, and perhaps our opinions should have been sought out earlier in this process. Back to the map. Last week, 2 weeks ago, Mr. DeVivo correctly stated that it's nearly impossible to decipher what is or is not included in the proposed overlay. As he stated, it goes all the way from the initial targeted area to Wright's Dairy Farm, Dowling Village, Route 146 to the Woonsocket line. It also stretches to Providence Pike, Greenville Road, and into the Primrose and Union Villages. My question about that is, why aren't we being given a real listing or a readable map that includes the streets, highways, businesses, villages, and the overlay map? Why don't we know how many acres of trees are going to be clear cut, or even a ballpark picture of how many acres this development will actually consist of? I've lived in town for most of my life, read GIS, the geographical information maps regularly, and I cannot easily make heads or tails of this map. So one would have to wonder if this was perhaps done on purpose. Next thing I'd like to discuss is the Ordinance Development Committee. So our town currently has a solar ordinance. I have no idea why we would surrender the power to enforce that ordinance and undermine it by allowing a developer to write a new solar ordinance for us. That seems like allowing Colonel Sanders to write an ordinance for our chickens. The current solar ordinance is well-written, thorough, protective, and is 14 pages long. The developer's new ordinance, which does not replace ours but weakens it, is a couple of pages long and basically gives them predetermined rights to do what they will in the overlay district and not require them to get special use permits or zoning board approval for other projects in the overlay zone, including residential areas. So they'll now have the same kind of freedom to clear cut and clutter our residential areas as they do at Ground Zero, meaning sales on High Mill Roads. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of National Grid constantly creating new eyesores for residents to view, and I don't think that the town should create yet another version of this. Start with the Ordinance Committee. It's 11 voting members. It's a member of the Conservation Commission, Economic Development Commission, Planning Board, Town Council, Zoning Board, 6 members from the public at large. And appointing members to the Town Council shall give consideration to those residents who have specific skills and qualifications that will assist the committee in its tasks. So we're going to allow a private for-profit group to override our protective ordinances written by some of our town's finest. And just quickly, I don't know if everyone's read the ordinances, but I'm just going to read it very brief. So from the town's ordinance, the current ordinance, Section 5.75 requires for ground-mounted solar photovoltaic systems. In order to be eligible for a solar photovoltaic system, the parcel in question must be at minimum 6 acres in size. The parcel must be vacant. Furthermore, the proposed solar array must not exceed 30% of the gross lot area, and here's the important part, or exceed 6 acres, whichever is less. And the developer's definition, this is for the overlay district. A utility-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic system for the purpose of selling energy to an electric utility company which area size exceeds 6 acres and 30% of the gross lot area. So there's no maximum size that they have to adhere to. So in closing, the Conservation Commission officially recommends the rejection of the proposal as written. Thank you.
Deborah Daigle Sullivan.
My name is Deborah Daigle Sullivan. I'm a resident of North Smithfield and I work here too. My children go to school here. I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to speak to you and be heard. Moving toward renewable energy is a must. And its development has to be responsible. Green energy ceases to be green at all if it requires the sacrifice of our forests and our farmlands to the extent that causes other kinds of damage or problems. Rhode Island could be at the forefront with renewable energy. Our own town could be a model for this if we do it right. A model, which could be a tremendous point of pride and probably get us a lot of good attention. Responsible planning and development that protects our townspeople and our land, while also addressing the need for renewable energy, I think is our charge. If we are not prudent, if we are short-sighted, we will succumb to a land grab and quick money. In doing so, we will inadvertently exploit and lose our natural resources. And there are some very practical matters connected to that, even for folks who care a lot about progress and development and dollars and aren't so much concerned about the birds and the trees. There are real consequences that have to be considered, and many of them have been outlined here tonight very eloquently. It's my observation that possibly more often than not, quick money can be very, very expensive in a lot of ways. There are other ways to do this. We must be a wise people. You must be wise people. Thank you very much.
Cynthia Roberts.
Good evening, Chair of the Board and members of the Town Council, that is. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Cynthia Roberts. Dr. Cynthia Roberts. I do have a PhD in behavioral science, and my focus is in public health. And that's the perspective with which I come here tonight. And I've lived in this town for most of my life. My father grew up here. I grew up here. I moved away, came back when I was going to have my son. So I'm really invested in this community. I know a lot of people here. I care about the people and the land. And I really appreciate a lot of what's been said. So everyone brings their different perspectives. And as I already just said, mine is in public health. And I really appreciate, Chairman, the opportunity to not be kind, because this is really important, and I think people have done a great job.